Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Well Beyond the Arc. I'm Manoli,
And I'm Montana.
and we'll be talking NBA basketball here with you for at least for a little while. Special edition today. We'd be remiss if we didn't get on and talk and chopped it up with you guys about the free agency and heck, just NBA player movement in general. Lots of free agents, lots of trades, lots of random stuff going on in Montana's background. Montana's
This is
been a minute,
my
man.
this is like my mom's really like weird home office thing. So you guys get to see all her random stuff back there. So yeah,
All
it's
right.
great. I'm rocking the Tom Hanks Castaway look. So we're on a good. You see, even I'm rocking that look. So we're ready to rock and talk some. Man, this off season, it definitely did not. NBA news did not stop.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Let's just jump right into it. Heck, we'll even start with
There we
Smoke.
go.
I miss you, man. For the record, I'm Beavis. Montana. Let's just start off with our squads, right? State of our squad. We haven't talked about that in a while. I got to give it to your Lakers. I thought your Lakers have done a great job this offseason, but let me get your thoughts on what your Lakers did.
I mean, I'm extremely happy. We definitely went about this the right way, trying to keep your core. I mean, we essentially kept our starting five. We kept the players that really made a difference for this team, and we added some really solid pieces. We absolutely 100% needed more bigs, and we got bigs. We got the bigs we needed with Prince and with Hayes. Those are two really nice pickups for that spot. And I've heard a rumor that they're talking about moving AD to that 4 spot, like what they did when they won the championship, and have like a Dwight Howard or a McGee type of player in that 5 alongside him. So I'm excited. I still think they need to sign one more big. I think Bull, is he still available? Bull, Christian Wood. Is Christian Wood
Christian Wood? We'll talk about Christian Wood in a second, but I got questions about that guy.
I'm happy with the moves. I think that this is the best offseason we have had since before the championship. So I'm extremely happy, and I think this was a step in the right direction because we kept we kept Rui and we kept Austin, and those were the 2 players I was like, you better get those guys, and we got them and then some. So I'm happy, man. What about your Bulls? How are you feeling? You're gonna miss Pat Bev?
You know what? Actually, I am gonna miss Pat Bev a little bit. I am gonna miss Pat Bev a little bit because I don't know who our starting point guard is gonna be.
No, that's fair.
You know, all the jokes we made about Pat Bev and winning the play-in championship with Minnesota, this and that, and then him coming to the Bulls after a meh showing with the Lakers, it made a difference. The Bulls team was way too soft. It was just I don't know, and the fact. No, actually, I'm behind Montana's Lakers this time.
I think it's the opposite.
I think the Lakers, believe it or not, I'm going to say it here right now. If AD and LeBron stay healthy, I think the Lakers are a top 5 seed in the West.
I got to add something to the tattoo. I got to add, before the season starts, I'm getting Lakers. Before they won the championship, I almost got a 2020 tattoo, and I didn't. So I'm not making that mistake again. But anyway, sorry.
I was going to say, I don't know if I'd go as far as getting yourself a championship tattoo, but the Lakers are going to be pretty good. They're going to be pretty good. Rob Pelinka didn't screw this one up. I'll put it that way.
For once.
As far as my Bulls, I'll say they had a solid but underwhelming offseason. They didn't completely screw it up either. The fact that Derrick Jones Jr. unexpectedly opted out of his deal freed up a little bit more cap space. They still have a little bit of cap space left, not much. The Javon Carter signing from the Bucks, pretty solid. I mean, hey, Smoke, come on. You can't get beat by this guy, man. All right, they're teaming up. That's even better. Javon Carter for the deal, 3 years, $20 million. I thought that was a pretty solid deal, underrated deal. I don't think he's a starting point guard, but as a backup point guard, I like it a lot. The Torrey Craig deal, he's the type of guy the Bulls really needed to get. They needed outside shooting, and Carter and Craig fit those bills. Re-signing Vucevic, I can go either way, but the money in the years wasn't that bad considering he's 32 right now. Re-signing Kobe White to a decent deal. They didn't screw it up. They didn't do anything to wow me, but they didn't screw it up. So I'm all right with my Bulls. They should still compete for the play-in.
No, I'm just kidding. I think
the play-in, Montana. Our bar is here. Our bar is here.
Fair enough. I mean, hey, the Bulls, they're definitely made more moves than some other teams did. They're definitely not the worst team this offseason. They're not even close.
So what about the worst team the offseason?
I think it's
what's a team The Clippers.
I think it was the Clippers. You know who else I think it was? I think it was the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets haven't had a very good offseason so far. I think I'm going Clippers, but I'm going Nuggets. I'm going Nuggets up top. Nuggets have to be my number one because, you know, you're not going to keep your stock goes up when you win a championship. Your stock goes up, and usually a team will overpay you to see, can you take that and bring it to our organization? Shout out to the Pacers. They are eating this offseason. The Pacers had an amazing offseason, but on the other side of that, you know, Bruce Brown going there, Nuggets have lost some key pieces that help them win. So I'm saying Nuggets are the worst team. Followed by that, I've got the Clippers. Those are my top two.
I'll go with you on the Nuggets. They lost the most. I mean, then again, did anybody see Bruce Brown getting 20-some million a year? I mean, I don't blame the Nuggets for letting him walk for that. No, and good for Bruce Brown. I don't think he's worth $20 million a year. I thought he had a hell of an impact on the Nuggets winning that championship. He got his ring, and Mike Malone at the parade said he's not going anywhere. But guess what, Mike Malone? You were wrong. Clippers, all right, they re-signed Russell Westbrook to a small money deal. Well, small for them. I mean, 1 year, $4 million. I'd take that any day of the week. But it was kind of a ho-hum offseason for the Clippers. I would say the Nuggets had the worst offseason. And King Cal had a comment there about the Bulls. They applied for the medical exemption for Lonzo Ball, that $10.2 million. It doesn't, even if they get it, that doesn't mean that's extra $10.2 million. That does go against the cap. They just don't get taxed as much for it. And knowing the Reinsdorfs, it doesn't mean they'll spend it anyway. But they did apply for it. We'll see. I do think that the Bulls do need another point guard. I don't know who the starting point guard is right now. It could be Kobe White. It could be Javon Carter, who I think is a pretty good backup. Could be Alex Caruso, for all I know, who's not really a great ball handler, but we'll see. Yeah. As far as there's been some interesting moves. I mean, your Lakers, I thought, had one of the best off seasons of anybody, but the team that's been a head scratcher to me, the first team that's been a head scratcher, because there's been a couple of them, right? The Boston Celtics. They managed a trade for Kristaps Porzingis, but they drew a line in the sand. I'm shocked that they let Marcus Smart, they traded him to the Memphis Grizzlies. I am shocked they let Marcus Smart go. In that, I think you change the identity of your team. You lose a lot of toughness. You lose a veteran point guard. Who's going to be your point guard now? Is it going to be Malcolm Brogdon, who may have this more serious injury and things of this nature? I don't know. But I'm not really sure what the Celtics are doing. They're trading away Marcus Smart, especially for a guy like Porzingis, who has proven to be unreliable. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I didn't get it. I mean, I get the concept. The East is full of big men that are dominating. The Celtics have lacked that. They've lacked that piece to that extent. But Porzingis is not that guy. I don't think he's ever been that guy. Maybe a little bit when he was drafted by the Knicks and came out, kind of showed out. But I don't think he's that guy you go for. I would have gone for a Christian Wood or a bunch of – I would go for – did they need to get a big? Did they need to strengthen their team and get a big? Yes. Does what they did make any sense? No. Moving over just quickly to the Grizzlies. Shout out to the Grizzlies because getting a vet like Derrick Rose in the locker room, strengthening your defense, they're going to be a stronger team no matter if is Ja suspended 20?
He's suspended. I think he's suspended 30 games.
30 games. So even without Ja, I mean, we've seen them play better without Ja. So I think that shout out to the Grizzlies, but the Celtics, it was a head scratcher. I know me and Jay had talked about back during the Eastern Conference Finals how we both agreed. We thought that if they blew it, they should blow their team up. They didn't really do that. They just moved one of their crucial pieces for a piece that is a really big question mark. So I'm with you, man. It was a head scratcher. I'm a Lakers guy, so hey, Celtics fan, do whatever. Draft, like, seriously. I don't.
Well, not only that, but the Celtics let Grant Williams go, and we were talking about it a couple of days ago that the Dallas Mavericks put together, your words, a low-key solid offseason.
They're quietly building a team. They're quietly building a team because Kyrie's in it for the long haul. Kyrie's more than likely going to retire a Mav. Could he go? I think it was a 3-year deal. Could he re-sign or go somewhere else? Yeah, I'm not saying he's going to retire in 3 years, but I'm saying I do really think he could retire a Mav. I do think that a big pull here wasn't about the winning. It wasn't about that. Again, James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving had like 7 trades or something within a short, it's ridiculous. You say that you think that Kyrie will stick around. Well, looking at that history, I don't know. But I do think the Mavs are low-key building. I don't think they're going to be a top 4 team, but I can see them. They're going to make the plan. They're going to at least make the play, and I truly do think they will.
The biggest thing for the Mavs is they got to figure out a way for Luka and Kyrie to coexist. I mean, they put up good numbers when they were together, but
That's
it
the
didn't
hardest part,
translate
though.
to wins.
No.
Now, getting Grant Williams, I think, is a solid pickup. Seth Curry going back to the Mavericks. He spent some time in Dallas before. I think that's an underrated pickup right
Oh, yeah.
there. A good shooter who really didn't play much. I think with the Nets, I think he was with last
Mhm.
year. So I think that's a solid pickup for the
Yeah.
Mavericks. And then picking up Dante Exum, who was a former lottery pick of the Utah Jazz, was tearing it up in Europe and now is ready to come back to the NBA. We'll see what he has to bring to the table. But let's talk about a guy who was on the Mavericks roster last year and a guy that I don't understand how he's still a free agent. Someone's got to have some sort of dirt on it. I mentioned this in our group chat the other day. Christian Wood is still a free agent, and rumors are that no team has offered him anything above the minimum. If that's the going rate, sign him to the mid-level and let's go. Like
Yeah,
I
no.
wouldn't mind the Bulls taking a flyer on Christian Wood. I mean,
I wouldn't mind the
your
Lakers.
Your Lakers, that'd be a good fit
He would
too.
complete a lot of teams. His skill set would complete a lot of teams that are missing that piece.
But the question is, why hasn't anybody signed him, and why hasn't anybody offered him more than the minimum? Is he that much of a locker room cancer? Is he that bad of a dude? Is he that terrible defensively?
I feel
I
like
don't
it's
know.
something to do with Houston. I feel like it's something to do with his time in Houston. I feel like it's something to do with his. He was in Houston, yeah, he was in Houston.
He was in Houston before, but last year he was with the Mavericks, had a solid year.
I think it has something to do with Houston because that organization has been a dumpster fire. But speaking of Houston, I mean they're thinking that Dylan Brooks is worth big money, I guess, but I don't know if they're going to get out of that dumpster fire because they're paying Dylan Brooks big. But no, I do think that there has to be something that transpired before the Mavs. I don't think it. I mean, maybe it is the Mavs. Maybe there's something going on. There's definitely something that's happened behind the scenes that is making executives and people wary about picking him up because he's a solid player. But I wouldn't mind.
At least on the offensive end, he's solid.
And maybe there's a part of that there. But you see plenty of teams pick up guys that are good on one side of the ball and not on the other. I feel like it's definitely locker room. But either of us would probably take him on. I would take him in a heartbeat on my squad. So I hope
would offer him
figure it out.
Slightly above the the veterans minimum.
Oh yeah,
because if everybody's only offering him the min, okay, play a little Price is Right. Give him a little
raise
bit
the
more.
bar a little bit, not too much.
A little bit where it still makes sense to take a chance on the guy.
Agreed.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. But Houston, let's talk Houston really quick because I was thinking, they got Van Fleet. I was hoping my Lakers would get him, but I don't think we wouldn't have been able to offer him what the Houston paid him. Houston paid him. And I think Houston's going to have a season. They've got some young talent. They've got some good pieces. I think now, do I think they're going to be, I've got Houston between like the 12 and 10 seed. I do think they won't be the 15th seed in the West again. I truly don't think when you have a player like Van Fleet, and I'm going to say it, Dylan Brooks gets clowned on, but I do think that he can make a difference on a team. I don't think he needed to get the amount of clown and attention he put it on himself.
He did put it on himself.
He did that to himself. But I do think that he is a decent player, and I do think that they could build a team, but I don't know. Overpaid to be average. Yeah, I mean, pretty much, yeah.
That's the best way to put it.
But that hole. Because they won did they even win? They didn't even win 30 games last season. So
22 and 60 is what they won last year.
Awful.
And you know what though? They had all that. There's a new rule in the NBA and the new CBA where you have to spend up to around somewhere like 80-90% of the salary cap. It used to be that you didn't have to spend whatever you want. There was a salary cap floor, but now they've raised it to where teams have to find a way to spend that money. So Houston's like, well, okay, let's get a veteran point guard, Van Vliet. Only his first 2 years of that 3-year deal is guaranteed, by the way. Dylan Brooks, that's why he got paid. I mean, Dylan Brooks is the type of guy that you want on your team, but you don't want to play against. He brought all of that garbage on himself last year, and now he's going to have a chance to get out of it. What I'm questioning the Rockets, and now they have Ime Udoka as the coach, which that's interesting enough as it is. They got some nice young pieces. I want to see what they're going to do with Kevin Martin Jr. because they're not going to be in the same backcourt. You got all those young guys that they picked up. Jalen Green, Fred Van Vliet, Kevin Martin Jr., who had his best season last year. And as a player, what are they going to do with that guy? They got to trade him for somebody. They're going to stunt his development. You got Jabari Smith. They got a bunch of young pieces. Tari Eason, the Turkish center, I forgot his name, but he's supposed to be pretty good. I get that they're trying to bring veterans in. And when they've done so with Jeff Green, he got his ring with Denver. Now he's like, okay, I'll go somewhere else. I just don't understand what Houston's doing, though. I get the spend the money, get the vets in, But as far as team fit, if you look at their roster right now, someone's got to go.
Yeah.
And they got to get some skill, either in the form of a veteran big man, or I don't know what they're doing, but
Well, that's
I
going to
get
be
it,
the
but I
thing that
don't.
defines it. If they can flip some of those players and those pieces and pick up some key pieces that will benefit them, I do think there's no reason Houston couldn't figure it out. But it's easier said than done with a team like that. There's a lot of teams like that have looked awful the last few seasons, and one of them I want to talk about this. We'll talk. I think we need to go into the Warriors. Obviously, we need to kind of. I mean, there's plenty of teams we could talk about, but something I want to say really quick is I think Jordan Poole, the newest Washington Wizard, is going to have a James Harden type of transformation on it. I think he's going to really I think he's going to go on a tear. I think that Wizards team, that's another team in the East that I think they pieced it together pretty well. Is it fantastic? Is it the best offseason? No, but I do really think adding a player like Poole, I think we're going to see a new James Harden type of player in for the Wizards. I really do. That's my take.
We'll see. To me, that tells me the Wizards are rebuilding, because not only did they get rid of Beal, they got rid of they traded Monty Morris to Detroit. They replaced him with Jordan Poole. That for the Warriors was addition by subtraction in their eyes, because a lot's come out from the Warriors that they couldn't stand Jordan Poole after a while, that he was getting too big on himself. I was really surprised to see Kyle Kuzma re-sign with the Wizards, even though he got paid fine. I thought he could have got a little bit more money, but surprised he re-signed. So right now that Wizards team is going to be led by Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma. Those two guys are going to have an opportunity to show out. Now on paper, those guys don't scare anybody.
No.
They got a shot.
I think I want to say this right now. I don't exactly think that the stats that Poole and maybe even Kuzma are going to translate into wins. You can have 40-point performances, and if the rest of your team is dogs it, you're not going to win that game. So I think we're going to see Poole. Oh my gosh, keep that comment. That is ridiculous. You know what that is? Put that back up. CP3. I think if he doesn't show up, that's trade bait. No. I don't even think that's going to work out. But anyways, no. Anyways, I got off track. I don't even know what we're talking about now.
You are on one. I love it. Keep going.
I started having flashbacks from the Lakers Warriors series, and I couldn't get them out of my head. Even though we won that, still I couldn't get that out. But no. Anyways, I do think that Poole could have that transformation, but I don't think it'll translate. Not that we're doing ceiling floor, but I don't think they're going to make the play. I think that they're going to be like an 11th seed, a 10th seed at best. I wouldn't put them up that far, but I do think we will see Poole have a statistic transformation potentially.
Oh, those guys will put up stats.
Oh yeah. That's all they're going to be able to do.
They'll put up stats because someone has to on that team.
Yeah.
Right. They're rebuilding. I mean, they finally figured out, the only thing that Washington did, and I think that it's because they were kind of put in a corner, is they didn't get a lot back for Bradley Beal. I thought they screwed that up. Yes, you had to get that. Okay, fine, trade him, but they got nothing back for him.
That part of it is
didn't even get a first round pick. They got second round picks.
No, that's where
it wasn't even like a Dame Lillard situation where Dame's like, okay, his agent's telling teams it's Miami or nothing. Don't trade for my guy unless he's going to Miami.
I think that they were done with Beal. I think that they were happy to I don't think they cared. I'm not going to say they didn't care what they got back, but I think that it was time for everybody to move on, and I think the Wizards knew that, and I think that's why they took that bottom end. I think that it was time because it wasn't working. It briefly worked with Westbrook for one season, but it didn't work. We saw them get to the playoffs, and we saw how it actually wasn't working. And then after that, we know what happened to Westbrook, and we know that Beal hasn't done much. So it was time to move on. And I think that everybody
hasn't stayed healthy either.
Yeah, no.
I mean, look, the point I'm making is I agree with you 100%. It was time to move on, but it wasn't like Beal forced their hand in a corner and saying, okay, trade me to Phoenix or that's it.
He didn't demand
what's going on with Dame Lillard. Let's talk about, before we get to Dame, let's go back to James Harden here for a second, because one of the more surprising things this offseason was hearing that James Harden opted into his player option with the 76ers. The most unsurprising thing was him coming and saying, okay, I opted in, now trade me. Welcome to today's NBA, ladies and gentlemen. The guy's making $36 million a year, and he's unhappy. He wants to be moved because he decided to opt into a contract. And where has he gone? He hasn't gone anywhere. Because no one wants to trade him. He wants to get to the Clippers. It's like those memes you see on Facebook and Twitter where it says James Harden has agreed to trade with the Clippers, but the Clippers didn't agree. I mean, that's the kind of situation that's happening with James Harden right now. And if you're the Clippers, what are you giving back? You got to figure out a way to make salaries work. That Clippers team, okay, great. What are you going to send? If you're Philly, okay, yeah, I'll take Norman Powell for James Harden. That's a great trade. Like, what are you doing? If I'm Philly, I don't trade him. I'm like, okay, if he wants to be pissed off on the roster and this and that, fine. But then I go back to him and say, hey, buddy, you decide to opt into this contract. We'll see. And Smoke, I agree with that 100%.
Smoke's just mad because they almost beat the Warriors in the playoffs in the Western Conference. That's just all it is. Don't even pay attention to his comments.
He's not wrong, though. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
James Harden belongs on Dancing with the Stars more than he belongs in Philadelphia, but that's a whole different story.
No,
it's just going to be interesting to see how this saga plays out. I actually do think there's a chance he actually stays in Philly.
I think that's what's happening. And just today, Embiid came out and said, I hope I can convince him to stay. We want to win this chance. The same thing he said last season. Okay, it's the same. Harden is always going to be putting himself on the hot seat, putting himself on the seat like, whoa, where am I off to next? What am I? He's always, like I said, I don't know how many trades it was, but between Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, there's ridiculous. I remember I saw James Harden's last game in Houston back in 2021. I didn't know it was his last game, but it was Lakers versus Rockets. And watching him play when he plays for a team he doesn't want to play for, you can tell he doesn't care.
The man wore a fat suit.
You could tell. He was jogging up the. I mean, come on now.
Agreed, Ryan. Agreed.
It's not. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's going to stay a 76er. I don't think they're going to win a championship with him, but I do think he's going to remain a 76er. The one good thing about the Sixers is they're not under the shadow of Doc anymore, because Doc Rivers is the most overrated coach in NBA history. You win one title and everyone thinks you're this all learned coach. Come on now. There's coaches that have not won a single title that are better coaches than him. So so I think that being out from under that cloud, is it Nick Nurse? Yeah, Nick Nurse. That's a championship winning.
I like Nick Nurse.
Maybe it could work with a new coach. Maybe that would, who knows?
Well, I want to see, how the NFL has, what's the name of the NFL's reality show? The training camp show. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Let's go. That's not the first time you've agreed with me. I think the first time. Come on now.
I mean, there's a 3% success rate on Smoke agreeing with you.
I don't think Smoke actually believes that CP3 was the best offseason move. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard.
I'm upset that I can't remember the name of the NFL show.
It's not Hard Knocks. That's not what it is.
Hard Knocks. That's it.
Is that what it is?
Yes. The NBA should have a Hard Knocks version, and I want them to do Philadelphia this year, because the whole thing with James Harden and Joel Embiid trying to convince him to stay, and the X Factor, Pat Bev. That would be hilarious. More than you falling off that ball would be Pat Bev going up to James Harden, who they played together in Houston before. I don't know if they like each other, but Pat Bev just not
Dwight
giving.
Howard. Let's get Dwight Howard back with James Harden. Let's just reunite some of James Harden.
Everybody. Jeremy Lin's available. Get him back from Taiwan. Let's get him in with the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's go.
That's
Last chance you. Yeah, with some of the teams in the NBA, it is going to be last chance you, and Philly's one of them. Let's talk Dame Lillard. He was one of those guys, and I actually blogged about Dame, and I made this article that said, listen, it's up to him if he wants to stay and go. He's earned the right. 32 years old, going on 33, great player, one of NBA's top 75. Whether you agree with it or not, he's on the list. Great player. Steph Curry's here in terms of talent and stats. In terms of talent, I'm saying Dame Lillard's just under him. Steph's a better player. I'm not saying Dame's a better player than Steph, but Dame's right there underneath him, right? He's had that situation like Kevin Garnett had with the Timberwolves about 15 years ago, where Kevin Garnett was uber loyal to the Minnesota Timberwolves, didn't want to get traded, wanted to build and win a title in what he called soda. He wanted to win in Minnesota. Dame Lillard wanted the same thing in Portland, and now when the Trailblazers decided not to trade the number 3 pick in the draft, which I think they smartly kept in drafting Scoot Henderson, Dame Lillard decides he wants to trade, rightfully so. However, I think he's put himself in this box. It says, listen, I only want to go to Miami and that's it. Which fine. That's fine. But if he's going to chase a championship and want to go to a winning team, why not expand and why not have Jays Bucks, for example? That'd be a team to go to. Why not? Everybody else wants to go to Phoenix. Why not say, not that Phoenix can make it work financially, but throw Phoenix in there? Why not the Knicks? Why not the 76ers? I don't know.
At minimum, let's get him on the Lakers.
He was linked to the Lakers at one time.
Why not? Yeah,
I'm with you.
Limiting to the Heat. I get it. He's like, if I'm going anywhere, I'm going there. And Dame Lillard on the Heat would be ridiculous. That would be, and the Heat have started to part ways with their undrafted players, as heroic as it was. They're ready to build that team. I get it. The Heat are ready to move on, and so is Dame Lillard. And that's the team that seems to be the best. But there's so many other teams that he would flourish on that could use him. And I think shutting it down to just the Heat, while I do still think it will go through, it is going to put a lot
They're going to find a way to make it happen. They're going to find a way to make it happen.
Just today, I think, I don't know if it was the general someone for the Blazers came out and said, if it takes months, it doesn't matter how long that's the Blazers guy that said that. They want this. They get it.
You know what, though? And the Blazers GM, what's his name? Joe Cronin, I think is his name.
I think so, yeah.
He's the one that's holding the cards here. He's the one that has the asset the Miami Heat want. It's up to the Miami Heat to figure out, okay, how we're going to get this done. It's not going to be a Miami Heat and Portland Trailblazers trade. They got to have, this might go down in like a 3-4 team deal, but you got to find willing parties to do it.
Yeah, which I do think there are. I do think that it'll go through, but it's gonna be a process. But we'll see him in a Heat uniform. We're definitely not going to see him in a Portland uniform next season. I don't know. No. Maybe something else will end up.
I think that bridge is burned. I think.
It is.
I don't see a situation where Damian Lillard goes back to Portland.
And he shouldn't. He shouldn't.
He's earned the right.
Scoot's going to be a good. They've got their future. They've got their guy. They give Grant a nice contract. They're good. I think the Portland Trailblazers could still be as good, if not better, team than they were last season without him. I don't think that it's. I know that. I mean, I just think that. I think Scoot. I think that
the arrow is going to be pointed up because they're going to be out of Dame's shadow. They got a nice young team. Shaedon Sharpe, if you've watched any summer league, that dude can play.
Gosh.
And towards the end of the last year when Dame Lillard was hurt, that dude came on. You got Scoot Henderson, who needs to develop a jump shot, but they said the same thing about Derrick Rose. They said the same thing about Russell Westbrook. They said the same thing about those guys. Whatever. Fine. Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons is still young and he's proven. Glass House Sock, you missed it. He had the whole what'd you say, Tom Hanks castaway look? He said at the beginning of the show.
I could say it last episode, but I can really say it this episode because it's been a couple of weeks. Or I can really say it now, but yeah.
Well, the only thing head scratching, it's obvious that the Portland Trailblazers want to undergo a youth movement, right? What I don't understand is why did they sign Jeremy Grant to the 5-year, $160 million deal? Good for Jeremy Grant, by the way, for getting that money. And if I was Jeremy Grant, well, actually, I'd probably keep the deal because I don't want to walk away from $160 million. But that's the only head-scratching move with Portland. I don't get it. Okay. We'll see. Yeah. Well, what about another team that there's a team we've been avoiding, and I think it's time we got to bring them up, and it's the Golden State Warriors. You know, they had a huge loss this offseason in President General Manager Bob Myers leaving. Mike Dunleavy Jr. Has now been hired to replace Myers and fit the bill and restructure hopefully what he thinks is a championship-winning team. I was surprised slightly, but not that much, to see how they be able to get Draymond Green back for another 3 years. The Dario Saric signing, solid. Corey Joseph, solid. But the Chris Paul, the CP3 signing, that one blew me away. He's going to be the most expensive backup point guard in the league.
Oh wait, are we going back to talking about the Lakers, the next NBA champions? Are we going back to that, Smoke? Is that what we're doing? Are we going back to talking about them? Because if that's the case,
man,
no, I don't like it. I don't think it's going to be successful. But maybe that's just I got to look at it from not a person that doesn't like the Warriors standpoint. Maybe it will work, but I still think they could flip him before the deadline and get some pieces back or get something back if it doesn't. It's just, why would you want a guy that he hasn't had he hasn't been himself since the finals. Mr. I'm addicted to the finals. Well, it looks like you cured your addiction because you haven't been back since, and I don't think you're going to be back ever again. So looks like he cured his addiction pretty fast of going to the NBA finals, because I don't think he's going back, and he's definitely not going back with the Warriors.
Wow. I think the one I am going to keep a straight face here for at least another minute until Smoke says something crazy here in the next 30 seconds. I think what the Warriors did was they now have the best backup point guard in the league.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Most expensive backup point guard in the league, but the best point guard in the league. And it will be interesting to see how and when Steve Kerr uses Steph Curry, a super small ball lineup of Chris Paul, Steph Curry, Klay, Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond Green. That
those
five
boys
is
get killed.
It's gonna happen.
Those boys are gonna get
Steve Kerr will throw that lineup out there.
And he'll throw it out against the right team. I guess I can't say they're going to get killed because he's not going to throw it out against a team like the Lakers probably when he's not. I mean, maybe he will, but he's going to get. Come on now, don't be.
The only question with the Warriors is who's going to rebound for him. Okay, they got Kevon Looney.
Yeah,
fine.
He came alive a little bit in the playoffs, but other than that,
he's a solid big man. He plays his role. He knows he's not going to be shooting all those shots that Steph, Klay, Andrew Wiggins, those guys. It's going to be really interesting to see how small and for how long Steve Kerr uses those small lineups over the course of a game. I mean, at one point, it's like, okay, who's going to rebound for you? But at the same time, if that lineup is effective, then the other team has to adjust to you, right?
I guess. I just don't think small ball, not that they would stay. I don't think small ball wins championships. And not that would be their formula throughout the whole season, because I know it wouldn't be, especially come playoffs. They're not going to be playing small ball the whole playoffs. If they even make it, maybe they're the team that just barely misses it. But
who knows?
You never know. Maybe who knows? Who it could be anybody.
What this move could do is be able to give Steph Curry more of a breather and save his legs more for the playoffs. This is one of those moves that could potentially extend the career of a Steph Curry for like another year.
Signing of the playoffs. This was a really solid signing, but it absolutely was not the best. But I can agree that it was the Warriors needed to move forward, and they did a really good thing by getting the best backup point guard in the league. And okay, I'm sitting over here hating on Chris Paul, saying he's not that good. I'm gonna be honest. I had this whole Lakers show planned where I was talking about, Chris Paul's numbers aren't too bad. So I'm just mad that he's gonna be a Warrior. But I also don't. I do stick by what I said about the injury thing. I don't think he's been the same player since the finals against the Bucks. I truly don't think he has been. I just don't. So I still stick with that, and I still don't think it's going to be that successful. But there's a little Warrior hate going on too. I got to admit that up front. You know how that goes.
Well, let's talk about a couple minutes here and coming to the close here. The Milwaukee Bucks got upset in the first round by the 8th seed Miami Heat, who basically upset everybody they played except for the Denver Nuggets. Their big offseason signings, re-signing Brook Lopez, which I think they had to do, right?
Yeah.
They brought back his brother Robin, so they got the the Lopez twins. Sideshow Bob's going to be back in Milwaukee. But one of the more underrated moves, I thought, was the Bucks signing Malik Beasley.
Oh, my gosh. Take him. Have fun. Have fun.
You know what, though? In the right space, I think Malik Beasley can be a player off the bench.
I agree. I think that there's – I honestly think we have seen a lot of shooters come to the Lakers and then not be able to shoot. Danny Green, we've seen that happen. So he can shoot. He can shoot. Wesley Matthews, that's another one. We've seen these shooters. That was the opposite. I mean, that was from the Bucks to the Lakers. We've seen these shooters come to our team and not perform. So maybe he will do decent, but Bucks just took more L's other than the re-signing Brook. I mean, that was huge because if they didn't get him, another contender was going to get him because they
didn't get him for stupid money either. I thought that was a solid signing. 2 years, 40. What is it? 2 years, 40 some million.
Now
Jay's right. What they re-signed Chris Middleton for.
That
was eye popping. I mean, he opts out of his $40 million a year contract and re-signs for 30 some. Okay, great. You save literally a couple bucks, but
I think he got himself that contract.
He did what?
I think he wrote himself. I think he was like, this is what I think. I think he wrote that. How can you? I mean, that's ridiculous. I think he wrote himself that contract. That's what that looks like to me. He wrote his own contract because come on now.
Maybe. All right, final hitters here to wrap it up. Who do you think won the offseason so far? Granted, there's a couple guys out there still. We already talked about Christian Wood. We don't know where Dame Lillard's going to – well, when he's going to get traded to the Miami Heat. Don't know what's going to happen with James Harden. The biggest dominoes have fallen. But so far, who do you think's won the offseason?
I don't want to sound like
Homer?
I don't want to sound like one, but I gotta say the Lakers, because I do think not only did we retain those key stars in Reeves and Hutchinson, because they're stars, they're not role players. They came alive in the playoffs, and I think that's only going to continue. Not only did you get that, you also got the pieces that we have been missing, and it's not a bunch of vets. It's not a bunch of 30 plus. So I'm going Lakers, but who knows what could change? There's still some of the offseason, but as of now, I'm going Lakers because I just think they hit it on the head. They hit the nail on the head with the hammer for sure.
I really want to say the Lakers. I really do, but I need somebody in Montana. Just to argue, I'm going to say the Phoenix Suns.
Oh,
and even though I don't necessarily believe the words that are coming out of my mouth, I want to go somebody over the Lakers, and we didn't really talk about the Phoenix Suns. They picked up Bradley Beal. The bench thin, but the fact that they were able to get Eric Gordon on a min deal, fine. They got Yutu Watanabe, I believe is how you pronounce his name, who led the league in 3-point shooting last year. They managed to lose Jock Landale. I think those guys can be a sleeper for a Christian Wood. I don't think Phoenix is done yet filling out the roster, but you got rid of an aging Chris Paul. You brought in Bradley Beal, who's hungry to win a championship. For whatever reason, it still has a little bit of a Boston Celtics 2008 feel. Not quite the same, but a little bit of that. I'm just going to go for my buddy Josh, not necessarily that I believe it. I'm going to say the Phoenix Suns.
That's fair. I am still not buying it for some reasons, but I am buying it more since they got rid of Chris Paul because of that. That was one factor with them not being able to stay healthy, not being able to stay on the court together. Bradley Beal's a solid player. Bradley Beal deserves this type of team to play for. This is good for him and good for this team because regardless of what it means, we are going to see some exciting matchups with this team this season. There's no way around that. Even if some players are injured or Kevin Durant is sitting out on Twitter or Threads, whatever he's on, looking through on those burners, doing whatever he's doing, whatever happens, they're going to be fine. They're going to be a dangerous team regardless. So I'm with you. I'll be more with you. I think that
I'm not even with me. I just want to say somebody other than the Lakers.
Fair enough. Well, and
I mean,
Beal's a huge piece. That's one of the biggest like signings that we've seen. That's
actually
one of the
I'm gonna change my answer.
Don't say
I'm gonna say the Memphis Grizzlies only because they know that John Morant is gonna be out for 30 games. Not only did they find a point guard to replace him for 30 games, they found two.
Yeah.
And Dylan Brooks was in a spot where he had to go. And you didn't really have to take down any of the other pillars or anything like that. You still got Steven Adams. You still got Jaren Jackson Jr. You still got Desmond Bane. John Morant's going to come back at some point. You got a little bit deeper. You got a little bit more talented. Screw it. Memphis Grizzlies. I don't even believe that either, but
hey,
that's what I'm going with.
No, that's a good – yeah, I think Memphis is looking a lot better than they did last season. So I wouldn't want to see him in the first. We haven't seen him play together yet, but this team on paper, I don't know if I'd want to see him in the first round like I saw in this.
As long as they keep their heads out of their asses, they'll be fine. Which is a big if.
Don't talk about LeBron. Don't talk about a player like that when you're Dylan Brooks, who shoots like 10% from three. But
anyway, Well Beyond the Arc is not the only place where you can find us. Montana, tell us everybody where else we can find your work.
Yeah, I've got a couple other shows that I'm not doing right now, but I am doing a Purple and Gold Zone episode within the next few weeks. Purple and Gold Zone, you can find that on Spotify at Purple and Gold Zone. You can also find it on YouTube. The channel you'll find that on is the Connor and Heffernan Show YouTube channel, because that is also my other show, is the Connor and Heffernan Show, which is like an all things sports show. We're kind of in a lull right now, but we're going to try to get back up the next few weekends and get some episodes out. We talk all things MMA, basketball, both college, pro, football. We go all into it. So you can check us out weekends at the Connor and Heffernan Show on YouTube, or check us out on Spotify.
All right, be sure to check that out. You can also find my work on my blog site. It's the Sports Page blog. You can find it at thesportspageblog.com. Just released a new article about the U.S. roster, the USA basketball releasing its roster for the 2023 FIBA World Cup. Is it the roster enough to win the gold and win the world championships? We'll soon find out at the end of August. So make sure you check that out again at thesportspageblog.com. And also, quick announcement, you can also, starting within the next week or so, find some of my work on Fansided, on the Fansided blog called Sir Charles in Charge. I'll be contributing to that site. So be sure to check me out there. And yeah, we'll go from there. So Montana, hopefully we talk again soon. Next time we talk, hopefully it'll be with a Dame Lillard trade, James Harden, if he stays or goes, and we'll see what other moves Golden State makes. I'm sure Smoke will join us for that. All right.